On this episode of the Third Wheel Podcast at Night, me and Darcy sit down and break down what to do when your husband is absent in the marriage. How do you recapture the spark that was there initially 19 years ago? We also break down platonic friendships and why our friendship is so strong after all this time, even though she's married and I am not. Join us this week as we dive deep into these sensitive topics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of the Third Wheel Podcast
at night.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Darcy.
And this is the late show. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this week as we dive deep into Christian dating and marriage for Christians and advice and all these other things that I don't understand because I'm not married. You know what I mean? Someone was so nice to call me out on that a couple days ago. Do you remember that, Darcy? You were there.
I'm not a part of this.
Someone was like, I understand, Darcy, why you're talking about marriage, but... And he looks at me with this dirty, filthy look. He's like, but you? Why you? But, Darcy, as we know, I am blessed to be naive. I wake up every day in my naivety, and I'm blessed to not know anything. So, all right, Darcy, what's on the agenda for today? Please describe what we're actually doing, though, as you always do. Give the little disclaimer.
Yeah, of
the
course.
Background.
So, I have a wild past. Paul doesn't really have much of a past. And
Paul being her husband.
Yes.
Not me.
Yes.
We always got to clarify that.
Apparently.
I'm Caleb.
And so there's a lot of Christian married couples that I don't relate well with because they like save themselves. Their first kiss was on the altar, like.
Very true. This past weekend, prime example.
Yeah. And so I have a hard time sometimes, and I just wanted some more couples I could relate with. And I came across a marriage advice and relationship group on Facebook. And even though me and Paul don't really have any problems and we always work it out really well, I was like, well, this could be a really good opportunity for me to meet like some other couples that share maybe a similar experience or, you know, just what have you. And that's where it went downhill.
All the way down. Downhill derby. If this was a roller coaster, this would be the dropping point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So as the past couple episodes, if you've been so kind to join us, thank you for liking and subscribing to our show. It helps us out. You know, put a few extra inches on your Subway sandwich. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
You see, Darcy, when a man and a woman love each other very much.
Was it you that I was with where we Googled what birds and bees mean? Because I was like, I don't understand how the birds and bees happen.
That wasn't us, but I very much agree with you. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Those are two totally different animals. And I'm pretty sure bees die after stinging somebody. So, but no, that wasn't me. But I'm with you. I was very confused as well. So
yeah, we had to like look it up. It was like,
I got a question for you before we get started. Did you ever have the talk? Did anyone actually sit down and explain it to you?
No.
Okay, because
well, when it was too late, yes.
That's what I've been doing.
Well, okay, so for me, my parents are like older parents, you know?
Yeah.
By a good bit. And so when the technology boom happened, they didn't realize like everything you could access on the internet and how to limit that. And, you know, like me being a kid, like I ran across some of that stuff. And then it was like a year and a half later that my parents found out and they were like, oh, dang. And so they had to give me the talk after I had like explicitly seen some things that I should not have been seeing at that age.
That's fair. Mine was very awkward, but I was 9 years old. I think that was a good time for me to have it. I just still didn't understand what the heck she was talking about. But, you know, hey, we got it out the way. She explained it very well. So, anyway, enough about me and my childhood trauma. Let's get into these feral posts.
Of course.
I wouldn't be surprised if I cut that whole bit out. Oh, we got a new sound bit, though, by the way. This was by request. Here you go. As I howled into the night. Only if it's a full moon.
Okay, another disclaimer. So some of the posts we see, like the actual post isn't funny in of itself. Like it's legitimately somebody wanting advice and it's a lot of times well put together. Sometimes the post is the funny thing.
Yeah.
most of the time it's actually a pretty serious problem, and then it's the feral comments
Yeah.
that really get it there.
She has to bring that up because I have an issue where I'll start laughing and making jokes before the story's over, and then we'll get to the bottom and be like, "Oh my god, that was horrible," and the whole time I was laughing.
All right, so we got an anonymous participant. Yes, Anon.
My favorite.
All right.
Although last time they used their names and it went pretty poorly. It's like, why are you posting our stuff on Facebook, woman? That was great.
That was funny.
That was great.
So I think she starts and says, I feel so sad, depressed, and defeated. Been married for 19 years to a, in parentheses, good man. He works every day, doesn't cheat, and is a good dad to our 3 boys. Problem is, he has changed so much. We used to have so much fun together and really enjoyed each other's company. Now I can barely get him off the recliner and away from the TV.
Uh-oh.
He never makes any plans to do anything. It's always up to me to suggest anything, and then when the time comes, there's most of the time an excuse to cancel. I crave attention and affection, and I've tried for years to explain this to him. He doesn't want or need any affection other than sex. My love language is affection and quality time, and neither of these things are being met.
Affection?
Yeah.
That's not one of them.
Like physical touch.
That's better. Okay, thank you. Continue.
I don't know what else to do. I don't have any family or friends other than coworkers, so he is all I got. Is it wrong for me to not want to accept that this is going to be the rest of my life? I need more. I want more. I have tried so many times to act like it's okay, but inside I feel so empty. I had a childhood so bad that my own mother never even loved me. I never got the affection I need so bad from anyone in my entire life. That's just so sad. Leaving is not an option for me, so I'm not sure what else to do. I just so badly want to feel loved, and I can't get him to understand that just because he says he does. I need more than words. Just wanted to come here and vent. Maybe someone can help.
All right, perfection. Look at that. That's beautiful. All right, Anon. I empathize with you very, very strongly. Okay. Yeah, when you put the in there, it really broke it down for me. It got me going good. All right, first thoughts, Darcy, because this actually was able to follow along very well this time. Your coffee woke me up. Do you have any thoughts here?
It's hard. I mean, as people change all the time, and like she was saying, like, he's not out here cheating, he's not being like a horrible person, but it's just like she's not getting that like emotional connection that she needs, and that's like super important for women, especially from what it sounds like someone that's been neglected of that the majority of her life. And I'm assuming that he used to give it to her, since she said he's changed.
Right.
And went into that, this is the problem now. So I'm assuming like this is something he used to give to her, and now she's like not getting it anymore.
Does anyone truly change though? Or was it like he already had these tendencies, do you think? And then they just got worse? Because people that are like stuck in their ways before they're married, it's going to get way worse when they're married. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So do you think it was something he was already kind of doing? And like maybe he was more inclined to give her what she wanted before they were married so he could get married, and then as that was done, he was able to be like, okay, he just got comfortable. You know what I'm trying to say? I
mean, potentially, but 19 years is a really long time.
That is true.
Like,
that's a long time.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm 24, like they've been married almost as long as I've been alive. And
yeah, seeing you and Paul together, though, I haven't seen y'all slow down in that department yet. The emotional connection, I'd even say lovey-dovey. Like, I think y'all are still kind of, obviously not as much as the very beginning, but, like, I wouldn't say that slowed down really at all, to be honest with you.
I mean, I don't think so either, but we're also very purposeful to not let it slow down. And we communicate super well, and we're very purposeful with when something's communicated from the other side working on it.
I was going to say 2 years is completely different from 19.
Right.
So we'll see how y'all are in 19 years.
Right.
So what do you okay, she puts good man in quotes. Why do you think that is?
I guess because what she's explaining is like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't cheat, he works, and so like I don't think she's saying he's a bad man, but she's like putting in quotations good man because she recognizes that's kind of like you know,
bare minimum.
Right.
Like he's on maintain mode right now.
She's not one of those girls that's like, he's so amazing because he doesn't hit me. Like, she recognizes that that's not this high bar to obtain.
Yeah. So we addressed that. Problem is, he has changed so much. We addressed that. Probably has. 19 years is a long time to chill out. Why do you think on her end, though, she's still at that, like, everything needs to be up here like it was 19 years ago?
What do you mean?
Well...
Like expecting the same treatment?
Yeah, do you think that's wrong? Do you think there's a problem there?
No, I mean, I don't think it's wrong for her to desire what she was initially given. You know, it's like a lot of guys get this talk about, you know, when you're dating a woman to maintain the standard. Like, if you start off buying her all these flowers and taking her out and being super lovey, like, don't stop.
Right.
And to make sure that whatever you're doing initially is something you're willing to carry out for the rest of your life type of thing. Because it's like, if you get her flowers once a week for 5 years and then you just stop, you know. If you were never giving her flowers to begin with,
she has no expectations. And as we know in this forum here, women, lower your expectations, okay? And husband, get off that recliner, stop watching TV, and step up to the plate.
Or if it's something, the better example, if you only get her flowers for special occasions, you know, that's the only time she's really expecting to get it.
Yeah.
But if you give her flowers every Sunday, and then you stop and start doing it on special occasions, she's going to be like, what did I do wrong? What's going on? Why do you love me less? Why do you not care as much?
Yeah, that's the thing with, that's the thing with blowing them out the water right out the gate, is like, you're going to be hitting these little things later on 19 years down the road. Is that something that can be communicated, though? Can I talk to her and be like, hey, I know I get you flowers all the time, but I've been busier lately. You know, I bet we've been going on more dates, so I'm actually a little bit low on cash for flowers every Sunday. Is that something you communicate? You can communicate effectively to where it comes, you know, you kind of address the like lack of something you were doing beforehand.
Yeah, but nobody does normally. You know, like they just stop doing it.
Right.
And then, you know, the wife's sitting there like, what the heck?
Right, and but if someone took the time to do that, would that help? Do you think that would help the situation?
I think that would help. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially like now, if you stopped doing it and then communicated when it was a problem, then it's still kind of, you're still at the same spot.
Right. But if you can do it beforehand,
right?
Maybe as you're doing it, as you're giving her the flowers, hey, we're gonna have to slow down on these for a bit.
Right.
Money's a bit tighter.
Right.
Or my hours changed. So anyway, okay. She says, now I can barely get him off the recliner and away from the TV. He never, in all caps, makes any plans to do anything. It's always up to me to suggest anything, and then when the time comes, there is most of the time an excuse to cancel. That's the sucky part, because like she goes the hard route of like, okay, well then
I'll do everything,
I'll
plan everything,
and then he's just like, season 4 of Lost is on today.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and watch that instead. I don't understand. You know, a lot of people would kill to be in this guy's spot right here, and it's just like he just doesn't give a shit anymore. Oh, shoot. What I meant to say was he never gives a anymore, and it drives me crazy. I just don't understand. Do you think she's being overbearing at all? I crave attention and affection.
I mean, if it's happening the way she says it is, where he's like legitimately just sitting on a chair every night watching TV, then no, I don't think so at all.
Okay.
But I mean, if it's like that one poster that was saying how her husband's never around and like doesn't love her, and then since she wasn't anonymous, he literally commented and was like, I'm literally here all the time. You know, like, assuming it's not one of those situations, no, I don't think she's being overbearing with it.
She goes on to say, I've tried for years to explain this to him.
So this has been a long problem.
What's the best way to communicate what she's talking about to him in a way that would reach him?
I mean, well, first you'd have to do it when he's not, like, distracted.
Yeah, so not TV time.
Right, so not during TV, or if it is during TV time, being like, hey, would you mind if we turn this off to talk for 30 minutes or so? You know, not doing it when he just woke up, not right before bed to lay on this big old thing, like choosing, like, an appropriate time to approach. Yeah. Not on the 1 week that he had the most stressful week of work ever, you know, like, just picking when it makes sense.
You know, Jordan Peterson recommends, I believe, sitting down 1 hour a day, talking to your significant other. I think if they did that, because, I mean, It's a far cry from what she's asking for. She wants attention. She wants affection. I understand. But maybe she can take baby steps to build up to that.
Right.
Because, like, if they had a great time when they were 19 years ago, when they were kids, when they were, like, just met each other and they were trying to please each other, if they could do an hour a day talking to each other, they can kind of recapture that. Because what's the word? The chemistry is still there.
Right.
It's just getting him to step away from what he wants to do, be lazy and chill out.
Right.
If you can get him away from that for an hour and then just sit across from each other and have these like just fun conversations,
right.
talking about the day, talk about stuff he likes to watch. What's he watching right now that really gets him going, that where he'd rather do that instead of his family? But don't bring that up. But just like what's he watching?
Right.
What's he enjoying right now? Because if he's a nerd or a geek like me, like he can't shut up about those things. So he'd have something to talk about.
Right.
And as y'all let me see. One of her love language is affection and quality time. So while you're sitting there talking to him, you're going to get that. You're going to scratch that itch of quality time. I promise you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal for me. My love language is quality time as well. I'd say number 2 is probably physical touch as well. So I think we're in the same boat almost. I think we're a little flipped on this lady. So Anan, if you're single, give me a call. Sounds like we got the same thing going on here.
So I communicated kind of a similar problem with Paul at one point because his love language is quality time, and I do enjoy that as well, but I view quality time as a lot different than he does. For him, if we're just in the same room together, that's quality time.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, like,
right.
We just brainlessly watched movies. Like, I don't feel like I actually hung out with you and talked to you and got, like, time with you. Like, I feel like I just did what I would do if you weren't here.
Yeah,
like,
I actually agree with you on that. So it's hard for me to sit down with being in the same room as the other person and be like, oh, this is quality time. No, it's got to be like we're engaging each other, we're talking.
Right.
It's not quality time unless we're actually spending it together.
Right.
No, I mean, of course, y'all need to have your own things too, your own separate hobbies, but I don't have a problem with her doing her hobby in the same room as me.
Right.
I mean, I'd still get something out of that. It's not like I get nothing out of that, but I would agree with you that quality time for me is like you're spending time with each other.
Right. And so that was something I had to like tell him, because there was like one week I was like really emotional.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we haven't spent any time together. And he's like, what do you mean? We watch like this TV show when I get home from work every night for like 3 or 4 hours. Like, we spend so much time together. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like,
yeah.
I need to talk. I need to like connect and have something more going on than just brainlessly watching something.
He doesn't want or need any affection other than sex. Well, Anan, I apologize, but that's something I have to get used to. No, I'm kidding. Here's what I think.
Taking a drink of my coffee when you did that.
Okay, here's what I think you can do to fix that. So do what we said. Sit down for an hour and talk. But as you're talking, just put your hand across the table. And, whatever you want to do, tap your fingers or ask him to bring his hand across to yours as well. And just hold hands. And then, as you're holding hands, I would encourage you to move your fingers around, brush up against his hand, the palm of his hand, the back of his hand. But I would encourage y'all to hold hands during y'all's quality time. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes into the conversation, just start doing that. Okay, just slowly build your way up to something more intimate than just sex.
Or is there something even you could do where, like, instead of him having a recliner, you can get like a love seat so that y'all can sit next to each other and cuddle, rather than him sitting in a singular chair by himself?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I would still encourage y'all to have conversation.
Right.
And sit across from each other and talk. Do that for an hour. And then, like, once you get that, because that'll scratch the quality time itch that you're lacking right now. It really will. And then once you're doing that, you can move to the love seat, recliner, whatever, and then watch the show with him. Do something like that. Work your way up to something more intimate. Okay? For guys, there's a good book called The 4 or 5 Laws of Love, where for guys, if you want to get the woman more in the mood for sex, you have to, like... women really appreciate non-sexual touch. So if as you're sitting there across from each other, you're holding her hand, you're caressing her hand, you're caressing her arm, all that stuff, that'll get women more in the mood.
Or compliments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a really big, I would say that's probably my biggest love language is verbal affirmations. Yep. And so, like, I mean, you've seen it. Like, if I do my makeup and stuff and Paul walks in, he goes, hi, baby. And he just not immediately like, oh my God, you look amazing. I'm like, what the?
Yeah. I would encourage you, Anon. There's a healthy compromise here that can that can build up to what you want. Okay, it's never gonna. You might be able to capture it for a little bit, but it's gonna fizzle out again like it did 19 years ago. You're never gonna be able to get back to the emotional high that you crave and that it was back in the day. But you can find a healthy middle ground where that works for both of you, where you're getting the quality time, you're getting the affection, and you're giving him the stuff that he wants too.
It sounds like you guys are kind of in like the roommate stage right now.
Yeah.
Like, I've been seeing a little bit about that on TikTok where these like married couples are saying like how to avoid getting in the roommate phase with each other where, you know, you're married, but you're just roommates pretty much. And from what it sounds like, when you make plans and he agrees and he backs out last minute, I would try seeing if he would go along with more sporadic plans.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, like, if he's sitting there and you can tell, like, he's not super exhausted, being like, hey, I'm hungry. Let's go to Outback.
That's quality time right there.
Right.
Sitting in the car after a drive-through, that's quality time right there for me. Those are the best conversations.
I would try springing on, like, some sporadic stuff instead of planning things and seeing if you're able to convince him to go out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Let's see. I don't have any family or friends other than coworkers, so he is all I got. That is a problem. I really think you need to start making some friends. I don't want you to start pulling all your needs from other people, especially if you get a guy friend, which I also just wouldn't recommend. Get you a girlfriend and just spend time with her too. You'll start scratching those needs. Now, just, if you disagree with me, Darcy, go ahead, but you'll start getting those things that you kind of just rely on one person for. Because anytime you rely on one person for something, it's gonna not backfire, I'd say, but like you're not always gonna get those needs met. So I encourage you to get some friends that you can have that quality time with, not the affection part. Okay, a clear distinction here. You need to get you a same-sex friend here that you can kind of vent to about these things and talk to, and then they're talking with you, and you're getting that quality time itch scratched a bit. Okay, now. That's not an excuse for your husband to keep doing what he's been doing, but I think we've laid out a good plan here for you to kind of get the ball rolling on some of the stuff that you want and some of the stuff that he wants. But I think him being your sole purpose, your sole reliant, what's the word? I don't know. Sole person that you rely on for those needs to be met, I think that's a problem. And I think that's part of the reason why you feel so trapped. So... She goes, do you have any thoughts on that, Darcy?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, see, I did it. Is it wrong for me, she says, to not want to accept that this is going to be the rest of my life? I need more and I want more. I've tried so many times to act like it's okay, but inside I feel so empty. No, I don't think it's wrong at all. I think you shouldn't settle for what your situation is. If you have a situation that you want changed, I fully believe it's up to you to change it. So the best thing to do is, like I said, get you some friends. Okay, that'll help you with that. That way you'll feel a little bit more fulfilled. Okay, because if you're relying on just your partner to meet all your needs, it's gonna backfire at some point. It's gonna fail at some point. Whether it's 19 years in, whether it's 6 months into dating. If you're relying on your partner to fulfill you, then you're setting yourself up for failure because they can't.
Right.
Okay, that's why it's important to have your own complete bubble before you open it up for someone else to come in and complete you.
And I'd be cautious with like how you're communicating too. I would recommend even possibly having therapy one-on-one. I'm sure.
I know a good therapist. Shout out to episode 7.
I mean, I'm sure you've brought up marriage counseling before, and
shout out to episode 7.
He maybe wasn't about it. But I would at least recommend like some one-on-one therapy so you can get out everything you want to say, and they can help you construct a way to say it that doesn't just come off as complaining or nagging or, just healthy communication instead of just like yelling at him about how he doesn't get up off of his butt. I don't know if that's how you've done it, but I know that, especially as a woman, if you're emotional like that, it tends to come out that way sometimes.
Right. So she asks, is it wrong? Absolutely not. Your feelings are never wrong. Okay, I want to establish that right now. If you have feelings, if you feel a certain way, You're never wrong in
Unless
feeling.
it's for your adopted sister.
That's right.
Shout
In
out
which,
to
episode, what was that, 4? Shout out to episode 4. What a cow. Okay, because if you want more and you need more and you decide just to accept it, okay, you start getting what you want. You feel so empty. That's what it leads to. You start bottling up these emotions and what you're going through. Because that's what's going to happen is you're going to feel dead inside. I don't know if you've ever felt dead inside in a relationship, Darcy, but it's the worst feeling ever. The depression, the trapped, all of it. Have you been there before with that? With anybody? Yeah, absolutely. It's horrible. So I had a childhood so bad that my own mother never even loved me. Okay, now you're losing my sympathy here. Boo, freaking who for you? Okay.
What?
All right. Let's see. I never got the affection I need so bad from anyone in my entire life. Okay, that kind of gets me here. I never got the affection I need so bad from anyone in my entire life.
Well, didn't...
So her husband never...
Right.
So your husband never scratched that itch for you?
Right.
He never gave you that fulfillment? So there's only so much your husband can do for you. There's only so much he can do to make you feel fulfilled here. You're relying too much on another person to complete you. It sounds like you never on your own discovered yourself and how to make yourself happy. And that's where I encourage you, go get some friends, go have a good... I mean, it's tough. You got kids already and you're married. You can't do this every night. But you need to start having friends. You need to start figuring out what makes you happy. Find some hobbies for you. It sounds like you never went through that yourself. Because earlier you said things were great when we were 19 years ago, when we were kids. But now you're sitting here saying in your entire life, you've never had anyone give you what you want.
Right.
Do you even know what that means? Do you know what you want?
Yeah. And okay. So I know obviously there's mothers out there that don't love their kids. Obviously. One of my best friends, her mom used to beat her with a frying pan and leave her locked in the closet for 3 days so she could go do meth and she was starving in there. You know what I mean? I know there's mothers that neglect their kids.
For sure.
But I do feel like a majority of the time, most all mothers love their kids. Unless it's an extreme circumstance like that,
Yeah.
And so whenever she's talking about my own mother never even loved me, so I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it possible she was in one of those extreme circumstances? Yes, very, very much so. And we don't know the person, so we can't really say.
Right.
But it just kind of makes me question how
legitimate her claims are.
Yeah.
Right. I got you. Because, most people that have those type of parents don't know what a healthy relationship looks like.
Right.
So the fact that she can understand, my husband's a good man. So she already recognizes all these things.
Right.
Was her childhood really that bad? Because she should have a more skewed viewpoint on these on marriages. Because she says, leaving's not an option for me. She goes on to say that. So I'm not sure what else to do. And that she understands, leaving's not an option. When you're married, unless you're getting beaten, unless you're getting trafficked, unless you horrible things that are worthy of divorce. I feel the same way. When I'm married, that's the bed I made. I'm sleeping in it. Marriage is that's the option.
I get a little bit of a different vibe from when she says that.
Yeah.
I think when she says leaving's not an option, I think it's because she has nowhere to go, not because she's so committed to being married.
Okay.
I got a little bit of a different
That's fair, actually.
thing on that.
Just going off of what she's saying, I can see why you would say that, I just so badly want to feel loved, and I can't get him to understand that. Just because he says he does, I need more than words. So
she basically she wrote it confusing, but
I get it. So he says he'll do better. He says, yeah, I understand.
He says he loves her and that he understands, but he doesn't show it.
And she needs more than words. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to come here and vent. Maybe someone can help. Okay, as we get toward the bottom, I'm wondering whether or not you're just craving attention and less about, hey, I need help. Okay, I'm all for the help part. All right, but it sounds a little bit more. Darcy, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like she kind of just wants more attention. The crying face emoji or the tears welding up in your eyes emoji give me some sympathy here. Pat me on the back.
Right.
Make me feel better. Okay. As we got toward the bottom of that, I started to see a pattern of you just want attention, you just want affection, you want someone to step in there and make you feel better. I mean, I'm not saying she wants another guy to help her feel better, but those are kind of the vibes I'm getting at the end of that. What do you think, Darcy?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just ready for the comment.
All right.
Barbara.
Now, this woman here that comments, Barbara, okay? Apparently, she's a repeat offender when it comes to these posts, okay? She's going to be popping up quite a bit. Her name's Barbara. I won't say the last name just so there's no harassment here. But Darcy tells me that she is on multiple posts leaving a bunch of crazy stuff here. So Barbara may be a recurring character amongst our discussions. She may be, and Lord willing, God bless his podcast. If we could have Barbara on the show, I'd be a happy guy. Okay. All right. Barbara says in the comments to Anon, he's tired and works to support y'all's family. By all means, leave him so he can find someone whom appreciates him, and you go to the bars and get banged by drunks and men who only want for the night. Barbara, what the heck?
She went like so hardcore with it.
She says, why is Barbara so old giving this banger of an advice, though? By all means, leave him so he can find someone whom appreciates him. She says, whom? That's good right there. I like that. That's classy, Barbara. Okay. And you go to the bars and get banged by drunks and men who only want for the night. She said 4 twice. Well, this crazy person hops into the comments. Darcy hops in there and says, what the actual hell? 2 skull emojis. You need help, LMAO. Well, this Darcy person sounds very reasonable. In fact, she got more likes than Barbara's comment. Okay, so Rebecca responds to Darcy and says, does she? LOL, sounds like fun. All right. Jennifer responds to Darcy as well and says, right, she definitely does. Must be what she does. Well,
I guess Barbara's up in the bars at night.
Yeah. Men who only want for the night. All right. Should I read what Anon says? Anonymous participant.
Yeah.
Says, wow, that is a nasty thing to say, Barbara. For your information, I also work full-time to support our family. Shame on me for asking for help. There is always a more miserable troll out there than myself, it seems. Have a nice day. Thanks, Anon P. There we go. They got to differentiate because,
It's the same.
No, it's the same person. Yeah. No way. Anon. All right, perfect. Anon, you also work full-time? I didn't know that. Okay, yeah. Shame on me for asking for help. Yeah, disgusting. Okay, get out of here with your trash. All right, I didn't give you good advice. I think you should get out of here. Always a more miserable troll out there than myself. Is Barbara trolling, though?
She's had some other comments where somebody, like, talks about something and she, like, goes in and will be like, have fun burning in hell, you piece of crap. Satan's fires are gonna engulf you. And, like,
oh my God.
Yeah, she goes freaking nuts, so, dude. I don't know how she's still in the group.
So what possessed you to respond to Barbara? I'm kind of curious.
I don't know. Like, I've just seen her name pop up multiple times, and any time it's always like something like that.
But does Barbara not respond to her comments? Anyone that responds to her?
I mean, she didn't respond to mine just now.
No, but she also, just now, 5 days ago.
Well, I mean, not just now, but like, yeah, right there.
Okay. That's weird. So she has that boomer thing where she knows how to type in the comments, but she probably doesn't know how to respond.
Reply.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other comments on this post?
I don't think so. It's just mostly Barbara's comment that really got me because it's like, what kind of advice? Like, and the thing is, she's not like complaining about good things. You know what I mean? Like, he's sitting on his bed all day, not giving her any attention. Yeah. Like, I don't care how tired you are. You don't have to be that awake to be like, hey, baby, I love you. You look beautiful tonight. Right. Come sit next to me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I mean, as we've gotten on, I feel like Anon has had her problems too. I feel like she's looking for fulfillment on the wrong areas.
Right.
But
to tell her to leave so he can find someone who appreciates him and go bang random dudes at the bars, like, that's so wild.
That's insane to me. Yeah.
And like, I mean,
A nun's no saint. But Barbara, what the heck? Okay.
And especially because she's like proclaiming to be a Christian, like Barbara, because she's well aware of hell.
Yeah.
Based on other posts I've seen her in.
Okay.
And so, like, this is her like Christian advice. This wise lady that's been through many years of life and the wisdom she's
like, you go
she's
to the
found.
bars and just get banged by drunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is this real? Well, I mean, you say she's coming back for other comments. So
Yeah.
there's something going on here.
Right.
Is it a troll? I don't know. Barbara? She looks like a Barbara in her picture.
Right.
Old.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. This Darcy, though, right here is a very questionable individual. I don't know. Is Darcy a troll? That's what I want to know. Ugh. Anyway. All right. We on for another post here. All right, Darcy, what's next on the agenda for today's episode of At Night?
Okay, so we had someone make a post about how to respect your husband.
Ooh, juicy.
This one's not by an anonymous participant. This is by Manu.
Manu? M-A-N-U? Mm-hmm. Or is it M-A-N-O-O?
It's M-A-N-U.
E?
No.
Okay.
But it ends there. I would have said the E if the E was in there. Like, I wouldn't have just left it off for funsies.
Funsies spelled F-U-N-Z-I-E. No S.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us this week. Have a blessed week. Thank you, Barbara, for chiming in.
Yeah. Why were you, like, continuously trying to, like, add letters to it?
I
Like,
don't
why
know.
were you...
I have no clue.
All right, so this guy starts off his post and says, respect your husband. Avoid making noises, as men do not like noise. They prefer to be in a peaceful environment. Another thing is to be romantic and not just sit idly like a cockroach awaiting death.
That is good advice, yes. I would agree with that.
When your husband is at home, do not cover every body part with heavy clothing as if you work in a posh mill.
In a what?
Posho mill?
Okay.
I don't know what that is. Where-
Menu? Sure. Can you chill? Or is that a female?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wear something attractive at home. And if you have children, place a scarf on top of that outfit.
No way.
What?
Why?
I don't know. When you cook food, ask your husband softly before serving him. My husband, will you eat this food first or eat the cook first? If he's looking at me like that, I didn't write
What?
this.
I'm sorry. Eat the cook? What?
If he smiles, take him to the bedroom. Don't.
Okay, eat the cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't.
All right, I get it now. That's the bees in the breaks and the bees. All right. Yeah.
If he smiles, take him to a bedroom. Don't always wait for your husband to ask for intimacy. Show him that you desire it too. This way, your husband will always desire you, even when he is not working.
I'm not reading that again. I think that speaks for itself. That's not going to carry the rest of this conversation, though.
I know, but it was really funny, and I wanted to read it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was just a statement. Thank you, Manu. Did Barbara have something to say about that?
No, it wasn't Barbara, but this guy Bill, which I've seen him give some interesting advice as well. Says this post will make the feminists mad. I mean, heaven forbid a woman respect her husband.
What do you think? Comments?
Apparently, a lot of people think this way.
Yeah. What do you think? Okay, husband, will you eat this or the cook first?
Now,
if he smiles.
this part got funny. So Athena replied to Bill and said,
Athena?
Yes.
Is she attractive?
Looks like she might be.
Okay.
I don't know. The
Yeah.
picture's super tiny.
That's an Athena right there.
So she said, and what is he doing besides bringing money?
I'm sorry, that's a big deal. Okay.
And
we know people who are married who don't work.
And Bill said, and what can you offer besides sex?
Bill. It's a good question. What can you offer
Well, because the lady responded, it's cut off and it doesn't show the other part of the screenshot.
Oh.
But she said, well, assuming they're a stay-at-home mother, then it would be clean clothes, clean home, full belly, tracking finances, home goods, free care, watching the children, etc.
Don't forget the most important one.
Oh my god, that post is wild. So
That's
like,
got to be a troll. There's no way.
So like but like people are agreeing in the comments.
Oh no, that I agree with that. I'm sure people are in there like, oh yeah, amen,
Right.
amen. But no, there's no way Manu's real.
Right.
There's
like
no way that's a real
troll
post.
post or not, because on the post there are troll posts.
Yeah.
Or like obviously so everybody's in the comments like, oh, this is trolling, you know. But like men are in these comments like yes and amen. Like
That's fantastic.
before serving him, softly ask my husband.
This is the best day of my life.
Eat this food first or eat the cook first. So you're just supposed to ask that at every meal?
I guess so. I'm not asking that. If my wife asks me, you're going to eat the cook first, I'm like, neither. I'm leaving. Getting the hell out of here.
I'm a very imagery thinker.
Stop. I know exactly where you're going with
No,
this.
I'm just picturing this little chef hat. Like this like all white apron and white chef hat with a scarf.
Just the apron says eat the cook.
Yeah, and she's wearing a scarf because the kids are home.
I don't
And
get the scarf thing.
the kids are like sitting at the dinner table as she's asking, and they're just sitting there like, but like maybe they're not because this is a usual like every night thing, you know.
But
It's just
like
another
if
Wednesday.
she's wearing the scarf. They know he ate the cook first. Oh, that's horrible.
Oh my god. I want to know. So maybe this. Okay, so I have two ideas with the scarf. Okay,
You have theories.
one is they said to wear attractive clothing if the kids are home. Wear a scarf. So I'm assuming that's to like cover like cleavage. Maybe.
Okay. You could just wear a shirt.
Right. Now the other idea I have about the scarf. So there's this thing for like couples that have trouble communicating intimacy. And it's called like a mood candle. And so basically, like if you're in the mood, you light this specific candle, and then like they'll see the candles lit, and they know like you want to like do stuff. And it's like supposed to be like a healthy thing. That way, it's not like you're always the one initiating, but you can still like show when you're in the mood. I don't know. It's weird.
If I felt awkward lighting the candle, like, is that like, what a beta male? Is that like a beta male thing to do? If I'm like, I'd be weird and like stick my hand in the candle and start lighting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're.
Yeah.
So it's weird, right? Like if I'm the creepy guy that's like lighting the mood candle whenever the mood strikes me, whenever I feel like fancying myself to the cook. So it's weird, right?
Like, I mean, like, I get the premise behind the candle.
Right.
But, like, that's awkward.
You know, at Bubba Gump Shrimp Co., okay, that wonderful restaurant based on the iconic film with Tom Hanks. At that place, if you flip the sign over to red, that means you want the waitress to come by and cater to your needs, okay? It'd feel the same way.
Just get one of the little flippy cards on the side of your table.
You just walk in after a long day at work and like, oh, she flipped the lid. It's red. You know what that means? I'm going to be eating the cook.
She got the red scarf on.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many things wrong with this.
I know.
There's nothing good about this. Okay.
I just can't get over the imagery I had of the chef's hat.
Well, what
She's
happens
walking
when
in.
you forget to flip it back around and the husband comes home like, yes! And then she's like, oh, my bad, flips it back over. You know what I mean? There's so much room for miscommunication. Back in the day, people used to talk to each other when they initiated stuff.
Can we look up what a posho mill is?
Please do so. Go ahead. I'll give you time to do that.
Okay.
All right. What did Google find? What did they give you?
So
Give me a good definition here.
I don't really have a great definition.
It's a posh mill.
A posho mill? Posho mill?
Oh.
So a posho mill is a business normally in Kenya, which actually might just like make the post make a little more sense.
I was gonna say this dude is definitely not American.
Right. So it's like a business for like running flour mills. But
I don't understand here.
I don't either.
So give me the sentence again. He says like a posh mill?
Yeah, okay, here's a picture of a lady working a posh mill, if that helps anything.
And it's making flour?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are super covered up, and
Okay,
they're not wearing attractive clothing. They're wearing a thing on their head to keep the, I guess, flour from getting in their hair. And
so read me his sentence again about the posh mill. I need the full story here.
Okay. When your husband is at home, do not cover every body part with heavy clothing as if you work in a posh mill.
Gotcha. That makes some sense now.
Yeah.
All right,
So.
Manu, I'm going to need you to shut the hell up.
It makes this post make a little more sense that it's a different culture that he's coming from, but everybody commenting is definitely very American, and they're like,
amen to that.
yeah, heaven forbid a woman respect her husband.
Yeah. I know about them posh mills. I used to work in one.
Oh God.
I didn't wear a scarf though.
Okay.
Do you think we can squeeze that Platonic discussion into 14 minutes?
Yeah. All right. So this person says, what does the Bible say about opposite sex friendships?
Nothing.
Right. I've told my fiance multiple times I'm uncomfortable with the amount of time he spends with other women. Last month...
Other woman?
That's how she spelled it.
Just
Other
asking.
woman.
I believe you.
Last month, he went out of town and took a friend to brunch at a high-end restaurant. Over the past year, he's flown out of town to, in parentheses, hang out. This 4th of July weekend, he's ignored all of my FaceTime calls, text. I managed to track his location to a hotel and restaurant out of town. I've canceled the wedding. I'm so hurt.
Yeah, I think you made the right call. Is this another Anon poster?
Yeah.
Okay. Anon, you made the right call. He is definitely cheating.
Right.
Did he turn off his phone location? Is that what it said? Or she just had to use it to find out where he was at?
She said, I managed to track down his location.
Okay. So what does the Bible say about opposite sex friendships? Nothing?
I don't think so.
Yeah, nothing.
I mean, I'd
really.
have to look more into it.
Yeah, I'm reading through it a second time, the Bible. Okay. There's nothing really in there about that specifically. Right. Okay.
And this also isn't a friendship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely not. In that context, well, how do you feel? We've talked about this. We've talked about pick-me girls, and some of y'all had stuff to say about that, okay? Some of y'all questioned yourself, am I a pick-me girl? And I appreciate the self-reflection and, thinking about that, because it's a good question to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I a pick-me girl? In fact, there's a mirror right across from me, and I'm looking at it. Am I a pick-me girl? No. So, what?
I'm also not a part of this.
You have something you want to say, Darcy?
No, not at all.
All right, sweet. All right. I think I only have one. Okay, I got a lot of female friends. But for the most part, well, I'm not with anybody, so I have no problem saying, hey, let's go get food. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go hang out as of right now. But if I was with somebody, I would have to cut all that stuff out. The only exception being, of course, Darcy, because it's tough. Because most people have... Can you have a completely platonic best friend that's opposite sex, Darcy?
You're asking your completely platonic best friend right now?
100%. Yeah, I'm asking you right now.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Confession time.
Yeah.
It can exist,
right.
But it is a very, very, very slippery slope.
Right, and it's rare.
It's tough, yeah.
To find an opposite sex where both of y'all are on the same exact page, where you have no interest in each other. I've seen a lot of times where people have opposite sex friends, but the only reason they're friends is because the other one shot them down on being more than friends. And at that instance, I would say those friendships would be inappropriate to carry into a marriage.
Absolutely. Or even, relationship.
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Being friends after you got shot down, can you expand on that a bit? Because that surprises me. How come they don't kind of drift apart after that?
I mean, they're either... I've experienced it where somebody's waiting to see if I come back around the corner to it, or they're just... I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Because secretly the other person's hoping that they'll change their mind.
Right.
And
Right.
I've been in that position.
Right.
Nowadays, though, if I get shot down, I just let it go. And we can still be friends, but I'm not inviting you out all the time to hang out and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the other thing I'd say too is because she goes in and says, I've told my fiance multiple times
Right.
I'm uncomfortable with the amount of time he spends with other women.
Yeah.
And at that point, like whether there's anything or not, if it's making him uncomfortable, like I asked Paul multiple times whenever we were first dating, first married, stuff like that. And I'd be like, are you sure you're okay with me and Caleb's friendship? Are you sure you're comfortable with it? Because if you're not, like, we can figure out something else.
Yeah,
like whether
and I've always been down to
Right.
like if there was something that if we were hanging out made him feel uncomfortable, I've always been open with like, hey, we don't, I understand,
Right,
and
right.
I'm, hey, we can wait till you're around, we can
Right.
wait till your sister's around. Like I completely understand.
Right.
It surprises me sometimes how little of a problem he has with it. If I'm being honest,
Same.
with you,
Yeah.
honestly, because we actually do a lot of stuff together on
Right.
top of like sitting alone here in the studio. Sometimes we'll go grab food. Sometimes
Right.
we'll go grab food late at night.
Right.
Sometimes we'll take a late night trip to Buc-ee's.
Right.
And I mean, we've had people around in those instances, but even that, sometimes not. Sometimes
Right.
we'll just go grab a cigar.
Right.
I think if you're with somebody, if you've already had platonic friendships with women before you met this person, I'm more inclined to say those relationships are okay because you knew them way before. If you were best friends before before you started dating, before you met that person, I think those are okay.
Right.
It's making the girlfriends after the relationship. I think that's an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no reason why you can't start making guy friends.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hang out with guys more.
Right.
On top, I'd have a problem with like, someone you met after the relationship and you started hanging out with that person over and over and over
Right.
again. Technically, I met you after you met Paul, but it was like a week or two.
It was like the same week I met Paul.
It was pretty much
we
like that.
met you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how Paul does it because, like, honestly, I feel like I'd be uncomfortable with
Right.
the amount of time we hang out.
Oh, same.
Yeah. I honestly,
Right.
I maybe he just doesn't see me as a threat, which is great. Maybe he's just like, nah.
He made a joke one time, if you keep losing weight, though, we're going to have to stop hanging out.
Don't worry about that. I had 2 Whataburgers yesterday, so we're all good. Don't worry about that.
No, I mean, part of it's a trust thing. It's a confidence thing.
Right.
Like he knows very, very much how much I love him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how
you've
like
always made
loyal I
that
am
clear.
to him.
You've never flirted with me. You've
Right.
never flirted with other guys.
Right.
You've been very good about like never opening that door.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've never had an awkward moment. I've never once made a move. I've never made a joke about making a move.
Right.
I've never joked about, wow, you're so attractive. I've never even said anything off color, off key, anything
Right.
like that. I've never, because I don't want. Because once it's weird, like you can't fix it, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then like the amount of time we hang out together, once that's gone, like that you really can't get that back.
Right.
So I've been very intentional about never even joking about that type of thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On top of that, there isn't that attraction either. Like we're just really good friends,
Right.
and like that's hard to find.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, and like if I'm with somebody, there's no reason for me to be seeking out another friendship like that with another woman.
Right.
That's be something I should be pulling from guy friends, from my partner, spouse, girlfriend, whatever. That's what I should be finding that attention from, that affection from.
Right.
That getting that. I should be getting that from the person I'm with.
Yeah. And I think especially it helps too because Paul knows I have trouble with women and women friends, you know.
He's very understanding on that
Yeah.
front too. And like he's seen it, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? You've had
I've tried.
You've had
I've tried
several
really
attempts
hard.
to make girlfriends
Yeah.
and it's just
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work, you know what I mean? And it helps. He sees it. He sees it fall apart. He sees how like wow, they just really don't click.
Right.
Or she's way too just I don't know, flowery.
Right.
I don't know.
And he
whatever.
sees the way like I like connect with guys like emotionally. No, not that connect.
You started that. That was episode 2.
But he sees the way like I get along with them better and it's not like an awkward, like it just flows very naturally for me to connect with like the
Right.
guys in the group. Like if we're in a big group of a bunch of married couples, I'm hanging out with all the husbands and like laughing and joking, having a great time. And the second I go over with the wives, I'm just sitting, on the couch, like not laughing, not really partaking in conversation. And it's not
Right.
because like,
I'm be honest with you. I
Right.
really don't see how Paul does it. Honestly, I'd be self-conscious as heck.
Yeah.
But you know, God bless him.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Well, whenever I was asking him if he was uncomfortable with it, I was like, I'll be honest, if you had a girlfriend that you were as close to as me and Caleb are, I would not be about it at all.
I agree.
Right.
I agree with you. It's a tough one.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he's not one of those people either that's going to say it's fine and it not be fine. You know what I mean?
And you would pick up on that.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and you would too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
But yeah, so what does the Bible say about having opposite sex friendships? As far as my knowledge, nothing.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe we can circle back around to that in 5 episodes if we see it.
Yeah,
but in this case scenario,
that guy's definitely cheating.
This is not just an opposite sex friendship.
No, he's taking trips with these people. They're probably staying in the same room.
Right. This is an opposite sex ship. You know what I mean? Like
sexuation ship.
Yeah. Right.
You know, that dude is definitely cheating.
To go out of town, took a friend to brunch at a high-end restaurant. First of all, like, why are you going to high-end restaurants with your friends?
Yeah, no. Like, if I bring you food, it's from Whataburger. It's not from, like, you know, we're going to Rezu's, you know.
Right. I don't think me and you have ever gone to a sit-down restaurant one-on-one, have we?
Yeah, we have. It wasn't a high-end restaurant, but we went to, what was that, Fuzzy's? That taco shop.
That's right.
We've done that. We've had that happen.
Yeah.
But
that might as well be fast food.
Yeah, but still, like, I don't know. It's weird. We have a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, there's no attraction. We're just friends. Like, there's never been weird. There's never been awkward pause. There's no deep sense of longing on neither of our ends.
Right.
Like, we're...
and then this guy, like, ignoring FaceTimes, calls, texts, things like that.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Right.
What's he doing where he's like, I'm in a compromised position right now. I can't be FaceTiming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
And then to track his location to a hotel and restaurant out of town. First of all, how did he go out of town to a whole hotel and restaurant without you knowing? Right. That's kind of weird to me, but...
Well, they're not married yet. So,
that's true. That's true.
So, like, he's still kind of doing his own thing. He's taking his business trips. He's doing all, you know, but I don't know. And then, like, he's not communicating. I mean, if he is, he's just like, hey, I'm taking my friend out of town. We're going to go hang out at this hotel. And that's a dangerous thing, too. Because it's like, how much is TMI versus also hiding stuff?
Right.
Where's the line on that?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a whole other can of worms.
I'd say... props to her, though, for canceling the wedding.
Yeah, because, like, I know people that are, like, you know, they'll still put up with it.
Right.
And it's just, I don't
They give
get
them
that.
too much of the benefit of the doubt and allow them to explain their situation away.
Right. And that drives me up the wall, you know? Yeah. Where it's like, this guy's clearly doing something behind your back and you're just putting up with it.
Right.
So good on her for ending things. Mm-hmm. It's another anonymous poster, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So a couple of comments. One says, run, run, run.
Yeah, good.
Very much so, yeah. Another person said, it don't work that way, run while you can. Another person, this one's kind of cut off, but I think I remember it. It said, Christian or not, these are some very, and I think he was saying red flags.
Yeah, for sure.
Correct. Okay.
Let's take Bible out of it. Practically, this is a horrible sign.
Like, Christian or not. Like, no. Now, this comment says, when you are married and a Christian, you don't get to have friends of the opposite sex that you hang out with alone. Most cases, I'd say, like, yeah.
I would agree.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very much so.
You can have friends as a couple and do things together, but having close friends of the opposite sex creates an environment rife with temptation as well as incites naturally jealousy.
It's true. Mm-hmm. I agree. You're opening the door for all sorts of stuff to happen. Because if there is an attraction, you know, that's not something you want to be sewing into the relationship and possibly acting on. If any of y'all have a moment of weakness where you're both attracted to each other, y'all both are in the right light, you're in the right mood, like that. I mean, it can happen. Absolutely.
Now,
100%.
here's my thing. Now, you tell me if you think this is far or not. So, whenever you and Paul were going out of town on that bachelor trip, we had a roommate that used to stay here with us. And, you know, obviously when somebody's renting a room and living with you, you end up being home alone together. Mm-hmm. And not because you're, like, being weird, but, like, it just happens, you know, naturally. And obviously there were zero problems. And even me and him were friends before I met Paul, and he's actually the one that introduced me to Paul, in a way. Yeah. And so, you know, like, and even when I was single, like, there was never anything. We had gone out and gotten lunch before. He had talked with me.
This individual wouldn't threaten me at all.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And so I had messaged
I'd be
him.
deeply offended if I lost to that guy. Like, really, you could have done so much better.
And so I messaged him just because I, catch up with him every now and then. And I was like, hey, do you want to grab coffee, meet up, stuff like that? And he's like, sure. And then he calls me later and he's like, hey, would you mind if I bring a friend, because it would be inappropriate, considering I'm a single guy and you're a married woman, to be meeting up to have coffee.
Sure.
And I was just kind of sitting there and I was like, I guess.
Right.
And he was like, I have respect for you and Paul. And it was like, you lived with us.
You're right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, trust me, there's no problem.
Yeah.
And we're meeting in a public place.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I'm just trying to catch up,
Yeah.
not get to know somebody new necessarily.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so to me, I felt like that was a little far, and I would get it in other senses, I guess, but...
Would that not be raising up red flags on his end, though? Saying, like, oh, there's a temptation on my end. I need a friend here to hold me accountable. Does that not raise any red flags for you?
Well, the way he explained it was his, like, elders of his home group or whatever were saying, like...
His cult?
Don't.
Okay. So for him, I guess it might have been more about appearances.
Right.
Okay.
Like somebody... Because at first he was like, yeah. And it was a couple hours later that he called me and
Once he
asked me
called
that.
all his old people. To be
Right,
like, hey,
right.
yeah.
And so
Right.
I guess somebody had said that he had to take someone with him.
Right. Okay.
At least that's what it seemed like. But to me, like, that seemed like a little extreme. Because I was
Right.
like, we're already meeting in a public place. Like, we've been friends for 3 years.
Right.
We knew each other while both of us were single, and there was never any interest on either side.
Right.
Like, you've lived with us and been home alone with me plenty of times where
Right.
there was zero problem, so it was
Yeah.
like, why? It just felt kind of extreme to
Yeah.
me.
I was gonna say after you, there's I shouldn't be making any more opposite sex friendships.
Right.
I think you're the only one I will be hanging out with post relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on this side of, like, after you though. I shouldn't be doing all that type of stuff with people if
Right.
I'm in a relationship.
Well, and
Because-
I've even made it
yeah.
clear, like, I mean, you're a super cool person, so I'd assume the person you're marrying is super cool. So it's
Right.
even one of those things where, like, I'm not going to make her uncomfortable and just hang out with you.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
most likely I'm going to want to hang out with both of y'all, or just her.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
you guys come hang out with me and Paul. Like, it's not
yeah.
going to be some weird, like, oh, no, you're not allowed to hang out with it. Like...
I would throw anyone else under the bus to be with somebody, but I wouldn't. Yeah, you would be the only exception. She has
Right.
to be cool with us hanging out together.
Right.
But again, I'm with you. We shouldn't. I don't want to be putting her in a position where she's just always feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
So there's just, like, my buddy put it best. He listens sometimes, or all the time actually. But he said, like, if she's mature, it won't be a big of a deal for her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, on my end, I shouldn't be doing all these things to put her in an uncomfortable position where she has to feel insecure all the time.
Right.
So there's a line. I'm not quite sure what that looks like.
I would say if, like, she's constantly being involved and we're not hanging out alone
Yeah.
together, and she's still like, I'm way too uncomfortable. Like, then it's like, okay, how insecure are you? Like, you're with us the whole time. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And, like, if she's uncomfortable, I don't know. Like, there's just certain things. Now, if, like, we're doing the podcast and, like, how we were here alone for, like, an hour before my sister got home and she's uncomfortable with that, that's understandable. We're in a house, we're alone. Like, even though we know nothing's going to happen,
Right.
like... that's understandable.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
if it just starts getting, like, ridiculous, that's another story.
Do you need to take that?
Nah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I think one of the conditions is she has to be cool with us hanging out. But yeah, you're going to be the hardest pill she has to swallow. That's it. I'm not going to make it where it's like, oh, but I also go out to all these, I'm hanging out with all these girls and I'm doing all
Right.
that. Like, I wouldn't do all that stuff. But
Well, the only part, like, I'm really worried about, and I know we gotta get wrapping up, but the only part the only reason I'm really concerned is because, like, not in, like, some, like, high and mighty way, but, like, I do have qualities.
okay.
You know,
Are you trying to
that-
say you're very attractive?
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought up the fact if she's ugly, then you're going to have a hard time convincing her that we're just platonic. I appreciate that, Darcy. So I can only pull ugly women according to her.
That's all I'll say. But, like, I don't know. There's a lot of women where, like, even if they're very, very beautiful, like, if they see someone that's also, like,
Fully
attractive.
figured. All right.
Blessed.
Yeah. right, that's all the time
Okay.
we have for today. We're over an hour. I'm very sorry, but hey, it is what it is. We will see y'all next time. Thank you for joining us
See you
tonight.
guys.
Bye.